So welcome to my 6-step SEO system, and just for perspective reasons, I do not claim that the system is 100% unique to me. At most, I'm going to claim that the labels of the steps are probably unique to me at this point in time, and that's not the point, right? The point is that I want to give you a logical, effective, workable, step-by-step approach towards SEO. I want to give you a holistic framework that you can use from a practical perspective to take your SEO to the next level. And because there are so many advancements that have occurred since a few years back, what I've done is I've baked in for each of the system things that you should look out for at least as you complete each of these steps. And hopefully it becomes useful to you and you'll be on your way to effective SEO implementation. Let's look at the 6-step system. Step 1, we're going to be looking at keyword intelligence. And in this area, we're going to be focusing on the initial phase of the SEO work, which is to gather intelligence with regards to the words and phrases that are being used in the search engines, otherwise known as search terms or search queries. Keyword intelligence go beyond that because today we need to be looking at research from a more holistic perspective, and by that I mean we really have to include the topical side of the research, meaning when people use the search engines, we are thinking keywords because that's how we've been trained to think. But the user is thinking topic. The user is thinking answers to his or her questions. And as the search engines evolve to be better at understanding human intent, I think it's time that we as SEOs evolve along as much as we can with the search engines. And therefore, the whole idea of the output of step 1 is to be able to come up with a more holistic scope comprising search queries and responding to specific search queries, but add on the whole component of topics, anticipate questions that the user may have in their mind as they evaluate your products and services. Now, if you approach it in this manner, you're going to be way ahead of the game, because if you review consciously your niche, your current website, and those of your competitors, you will realize there's a huge gap between what I'm asking you to do versus what you or many of your competitors have done. And that's great because it's going to give you a working list of things to do. And if you accomplish those additional things, in other words, cover up the gaps, you'll be on your way to leapfrog over your competitors. And to be honest, your competitors will have no idea what happened. Step 2, competitive intelligence. I have baked in competitive intelligence, typically reserved as an advanced topic for years, into my existing 6-step system. And the attitude you need to have towards acquiring knowledge such as SEO, for example, is to not differentiate it from easy or difficult or beginner or experienced. You have a mission and you need to acquire as much actionable information and strategies as possible to achieve your mission, because SEO is one of those skill sets. You either hit it and get onto your target, or you miss without reward. This is not employment. There's no prizes for being second place or third place. SEO is one of those strategies you have to plan, attack, and win. To win, you have to be better than your competitors. And there's a whole philosophy behind this that I'm going to share with you in step 2, which is competitive intelligence. Because you need to know your competitors' strengths and weaknesses. You need to be able to assess the difficulty for a specific query that you want to go for. And the difficulty level is not defined by you, nor is it defined by Google, but it's defined by your competitive landscape. And your competitive landscape is made up of web pages that have similar goal of dominating the search engines just like you. Step number 3, content intelligence and optimization. Notice the sequence is not in vain. The sequence is not accidental. And there's a reason why in step 3, content intelligence goes before step 4, on-page SEO. And the logic is that the output of step 2, competitive intelligence, becomes the input to step 3, content intelligence, because by intelligence, we mean being able to reliably spy on web pages with similar intent. That becomes your natural competition landscape. In case you're wondering, what does my competition have to do with what I say and what I should say? When we get into step 2 in competitive intelligence, you will understand the perspective not just from the competitor viewpoint, but also from the search engine viewpoint, and how the competitor landscape influences what you should also do. And I'll explain to you a little bit more when we talk about competitive intelligence and the concept of relative grading as opposed to absolute grading and what it means. Step 3 is focused on helping you provide the right context, provide you with the right words and phrases for your content. And this step is arguably one of the more important steps because content optimization has a huge influence on your eventual rankings. Then we move on to on-page and local optimization. What's ironic is that step 4 has diminished importance, and what used to be of primary importance, which is, for example, where to place your keywords, structuring your title tag, your meta description, has lowered in the hierarchy of importance in deference to the first 3 steps: keyword intelligence, competitive intelligence, content intelligence, and optimization. However, it doesn't mean that we should just totally ignore and throw on-page optimization and best practices out the window. It means that don't expect that a perfect on-page optimization is going to necessarily help you in your rankings and search visibility. So you do what you have to do. You can be perfect in this, no problem, but we are in an era where on-page SEO alone is unlikely to get you to the top of the search engine results unless we are dealing with totally uncompetitive keywords and topics. Related with on-page optimization is local optimization, which is a slightly different application of SEO when it comes to proximity and local relevancy. And we'll look at some of the aspects or elements that we want to be watching out for, especially if and when we are building a website for a local service area. Then, towards the end of this program, we will explore step 5, which is off-page optimization. It doesn't matter if you're totally new to this because I'm going to start from ground zero as promised. I'm going to explain to you what off-page optimization used to be, what it should be today, your approach towards off-page optimization in light of the search engine's improved capabilities, what you should do, what you shouldn't do, and some on how to embark on it safely. And of course, the final step is performance, monitoring, and evaluation. This step should not be taken lightly because with experience, you will realize that different keyword phrases, different topics have different level of difficulty. For some of them, because of its weak competitive landscape, you will get to page 1 number 1 fairly easily without much effort. Whereas for others, you will struggle to get to page 1 in spite of your best efforts. One of the bigger, more essential picture that differentiates the professional SEOs and the weaker SEOs lies in step 6. The what should we do next? Where do we allocate our time, energy, and resources? Because the wise SEO knows that they shouldn't go after what we call lost causes. And a lost cause in SEO is defined as one where you have a lot of confidence in getting to page 1 for a specific key phrase, but the data shows otherwise. In other words, you are very far away from ever smelling page 1 number 1, and for all intents and purposes, it's a lost cause. You should have never even begun on it by going for such an aggressive keyword. You should have just taken a step or 2 back and go for the long tail variant of that competitive keyword. So step 6 is crucial because even the best SEO guys don't always get it right because we don't have perfect information, and therefore the results that we end up achieving may or may not meet or exceed our expectations. And that's fine. The key is, what do we do next? How does our goals and objectives change or evolve with newfound information? When the evaluation is done, you will realize that there's likely to be a departure between your expectations and your intended destination, and they could be worlds apart. And you need to be nimble enough, humble enough to take the data that's being shown to you and make corrective adjustments. A detour maybe, a temporary sidetrack to less competitive keywords perhaps. Instead of getting to your destination in a single leap, maybe 2 leaps. Are you willing to do that? Because if you just stick to your guns and go for lost causes, it's going to cost you more damage, despair, and lack of revenues. And that's not a good thing. You need to look at step 6 from a holistic perspective, get an X-ray vision into what you have executed, and be ready to reevaluate your strategies, come up with alternative approaches if you're working with clients, and communicate this effectively to them. Because data does not lie, it is what it is. Step 6 is going to be crucial, and that's why it's part of this 6-step system.